Gail, yeah, I know Gail types up the.
So they make their own.
Board of Finance.
Mr. Abbott? He's over here. Okay, it's 8:30. We will call the meeting of the Board of Finance to order. It appears we have Commissioner Bramas by phone, Commissioner Hofstadter and Blessing are in person, along with County Auditor Sam Gordon, County Treasurer Kitty Merkley, and the County Attorney Greg Schneer are all here. We will call the meeting to order. The first, because it's our first meeting of the year, the first order of business is the election of officers. We have two officers for this board, that being the president and a secretary. Last year, those were Chad Blessinger was the president, and the secretary is Kitty Merkley. Does anybody have any nominations for president and or secretary? And
Kitty Merkley as treasurer.
can we have a motion to retain the current slate? Any other nominations? Hearing none, we'll close the nominations. All in favor of the slate of officers, say aye. Aye. Sounds like it's unanimous, so that's our board. We have minutes from the January 21st, 2020 meeting, and I will move that we approve those meeting minutes as presented. First and second, any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. The motion carries. It appears that we only need the secretary and auditor's signature yet on that. And we will turn it over to the county treasurer.
Morning.
Morning.
Eleanor, I do have a packet for you. I will give it to you. Sorry, I should have emailed it.
Okay.
Kitty, if you leave it here, you'll help get those stuff later. Okay. So our investment policy expired. So in your packet, you'll find a new one that needs to be read and signed. It's basically exactly the same. I mean, there's maybe a little bit of wording, but it's the same as it has been for the past 4 years. And that needs to be approved by the president and then attested by the secretary.
Commissioner Bramas, would you like an opportunity to review the investment policy? I have reviewed, compared it to the one we have approved the last several years, and the only change that I've noted is that it states that the Office of or management of the DuBois County Investment Program shall be the sole responsibility of the DuBois County Treasurer, which is in fact the case. So I wanted to see if you wanted us to move on this, or if you were wanting to review it yourself again.
I'm okay with moving on it. I will ask what, is that a change in actual, procedure, or just wording in the policy?
It's a wording issue, nothing else.
Okay, then I'm okay with moving on it.
Commissioner Hofstadter? Okay, I move that we approve the investment policy. Looks like it shall expire on 1/19 of 2024 or until such time a new policy is submitted. I move that we approve the policy. First and a second, any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. That motion carries. And do you have an official copy, or you want me to sign this one?
If you want to send that one, I don't have an official copy. I have one that we can sign.
That'd be fine.
Okay, and then moving on, there's a summary of investments for 2020. And unfortunately, you will see that interest rates declined dramatically. Like at the high, I was at 2.77. And now I'm getting bids as low as 0.05. So they fell. Which also means that we lost a lot of interest revenue to the tune of $420,000 less this year than we had in 19. So, very disappointing, to say the least, but due to COVID, I think, and I'm not sure when we're gonna see the interest rates start climbing again, so. Also, many banks are not even bidding on my CDs. Like I send out 6 requests and I'll get maybe 3 back with actual bids. So
So Old National, are they not bidding, or what is, are they just low bidding?
oh, they're always the lowest, consistently the lowest. Fifth Third never bid, so I took them off the list. I don't even send out for a bid because after 2 years of hearing nothing, and I've called and like talked to people and they're like, oh yeah, we'll bid, they never bid. So I don't even ask them anymore because I'm only required to get 3 bids. And I get 6. So Freedom has quit bidding. Springs Valley is no longer bidding. So generally it's like German American and Hoosier Hills that will bid. And occasionally Old National will bid, but like I have 3 CDs due today. They bid on these CDs, but they didn't bid last time. So it just depends on if they need public funds or not. And I think a lot of people just don't want our money.
And can you report on, do you have a money market
Mhm.
that you invest in? Is that with the United Fidelity?
I have a couple. I have one with Springs Valley, one with Hoosier Hills, and one with United Fidelity.
So what are you using currently? Are you using all 3?
Mhm. They're all 3 yes, I have money in all 3 of those, earning interest.
And the money from the jail, which one is that in?
That is in a CD. Wait, is this the money that you want
Yeah, the one money-
invested?
Yeah,
Okay, I have not invested that yet. I have been in conversations getting bid. So I think I've narrowed it down to who's gonna give me the best bid. But there was an issue with, we're trying to figure out where they were rate wise, so.
okay. I thought it was like you could put in up to a certain amount and you would get a certain rate with those money markets. Is that not the case?
No, they bid just like CDs.
But it is in and out money. We can get it.
Correct. Yes, you can get it immediately, there's no penalties. Yeah, it's like a savings account with interest.
And for historical purpose too, the investments were down to 255,000 of earnings. We've been under 100,000 before and over $1 million before, depending on the year.
Mhm.
Every year fluctuates.
Okay.
Yeah.
What else do you have?
So then you have your, just the investment summary report. our cash book that shows all the investments. And then I have your, our interest statements from the banks. The notice that I put in the paper advertising this public meeting. Our 2-year-old checks that are getting paid this back in because they have not been cashed. And then the approved list of depositories. And that is all I have.
So as of today, if any of these people came in, would they get their money back?
We make them sign a letter that says that they have not cashed that check and that they lost the check and that they will not try to get more money after we give them this check. So yes, they would get their money.
So at what point does that change and it gets put back into the general fund?
3 years,
Oh, okay, so these are only 2 years old, but you're gonna give another year
correct.
before you do anything? I don't know one of the names, I thought I called it.
Yeah, this is and they've all been sent letters that say, hey, we have this check that has it cleared, you know where it is.
As is normal with this board, it's generally that this board meets once a year. If we have a reason to meet again between now and next year, we will call a meeting for those purposes. I see no other business. Commissioner Hostetter? Commissioner Brown, any other business for the Board of Finance?
No, thank you.
And anything else? Okay, we will adjourn. Thank you. Okay.
I have one that I can give you on, if you don't need it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Are we, are you wanting, I was at SRI yesterday, and they're wondering, are you wanting to have commissioners stay on with you?
No, nothing works. So nothing happening this year.
Just gonna make sure. You want me to just put that? Do you want to sign it now? That's your signature, here's one. I know, do you want me to sign it and give it to you now, or just, it's up to you, but I'll just put it on your desk. That's fine, okay, all right, okay, thanks.
Good morning. We will call to order the January 19th, 2021 Commissioners Meeting. And Commissioner Bromas is calling in by phone. Commissioner Hostetter is in person and Commissioner Blessinger are in person. We have a quorum present, so we will do business. The Pledge of Allegiance will be the first thing we do. If you'd like to join us. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item we had was payroll. Has everyone had a chance to review the payroll? Any Any changes? Any changes needed? Hearing none, I move that we approve the payroll. The first and second, all in favor of the motion, say aye. 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 Motion carries. We have minutes from our previous meeting, and I didn't see any changes. I move that we approve the minutes as presented. The first and second, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Then we have claims, the expense report. Anybody have any questions, comments, or changes there? Hearing none, I have moved that we approve the claims as presented. First and second, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. HR, Jean Day, Marky Rhodes.
All right. So, the last 2 years, at least since I've been here, we did Jean Days on Fridays. Basically, it's a $20 donation for the employees, and money would go to the auditor's office. That would be okay as in the past.
Have people already bringing it in.
Right. And then all this money is donated to charities, so we would have the last day to donate for 2021, January 31st. Just as a snapshot for 2020, employee donations counted for $1,160, and those donations helped local and national charity missions for 8 organizations in 2020. So, I guess it's saying it's more just wearing jeans, we're helping local organizations and on with their missions as they move on in for these donations. So just basically asking if we can do this again for 2020.
Have you seen any problems with the policy doing it?
I've seen no issues.
And how are we selecting the charities that will benefit?
What we do is we ask for, on the form, it's a recommendation, they can recommend a charity, and then we take that into consideration. We usually give every charity that's recommended some money. So last year we had 8 recommendations.
Most people recommend, if they recommend a local.
The local charities, and then we got a couple employees that they've got some national charities with something, get home there close to them with something and.
You okay with that policy?
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Brown, is you okay with that policy?
Yes, I'm okay.
Okay. I don't know that needs to be a formal motion, so we will just say that is an approved policy again for 2021 for employees who wear jeans on Friday. They will give a $20 donation in January to be given to charities at the discretion of the HR and auditor's office.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks. We have a few minutes until. Yes, sir.
Let me ask Marky,
Marky?
if Marky is still there.
Yes.
Okay, Marky, I sent you an email a little while ago that forwarded to you from an employee who was concerned about the fact that they would have to take unpaid leave or PTO for close contacts or babysitting or something of that nature if they could not work at home. I've reviewed, the policy that we approved. I've reviewed the handbook, and I don't see any other way around that. I just had 2 questions, and I think I know the answer to the first. Close contacts, those types of things are not FMLA approved events. Correct?
Correct. Yeah, for it to be a FMLA event, they would have to be positive for COVID.
So approved sick leave is not available to those people.
For close contacts, no.
And, this is a change. Yeah. This is a change from what we were doing in 2020 because legislation changed. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so unless legislation and we're anticipating additional legislation coming up here in the next few weeks. So unless that legislation addresses it again, this, we approve the policy that's in place and, that's what we're working on.
Yes. Yeah, I've already had several employees
Okay.
actually, use that policy already, so, and I've actually got positive feedback from a lot of them because they didn't want to have to, use their PTO up front in January for, staying home, being a close contact or that, so, we've got several that are using the unpaid leave of the version if they can't remote work.
Okay. Yeah. Well, if you haven't had a chance to review the email I forwarded you, and I apologize, I just did it a few minutes ago. Let me know if there's any other change, or any other, solution to what the person is talking about, but I think it's pretty straightforward. We're following the policy that we adopted, and we're following the handbook policy as well. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah. We have about 7 minutes until the next agenda item. So what I'd like to do is share a 2020 year in review from the county recorder's office. The recorder is in attendance, but we don't necessarily need to have her give a presentation. I asked her if I should share this or could, and she was okay with that. And in short, in 2019, the fees collected in e-recording were about 17,500. In 2020, e-recording fees collected were 662% higher at 133,421. The contribution made to the general fund went up 45.7% from 92,000 to 134,000. And total fees collected went up 39.6% to 333,813. A gain of 94,745.48 over 2019. I bring that up just to illustrate the increase in e-recording and fees being collected. And I thought it was an interesting tidbit of information that we should be aware of, that the business has still been going in that office and in most offices unscathed by not unscathed, that's probably the wrong term, despite the COVID. We found a way to work and continue getting people's documents recorded and keeping business going as much as possible through 2020. So we appreciate the efforts of that office and the other offices doing that work. Andy, I was mailed a copy of the annual report for 2020 from Northeast DuBois County Fire Protection District. They have to provide one with us, and one file, so there's that. Last meeting, I believe, we had a discussion on mileage reimbursement rates. Sandy was kind enough to present me with some minutes from 2008, where there was a county employee requesting a mileage increase. And the council at that time said their consensus was to go with the state rate. That's what was done. When the state rate went up, the mileage reimbursement rate went up. And from my review over the last couple of weeks, is the rate that we're paying people is fair and equitable to what the state and other entities are doing. It's lower than the federal rate, but we're not a federal entity, so that's. Yeah, we're a little higher than the state. The state is actually on a sliding scale based on gas prices. So we're doing just fine in that area. So I wanted to bring that up for make that comment. Mr. Schneider, is there any update on the Whitestein bankruptcy? I know you sent us a little bit of information.
I had a conversation with the council. I can't recall if that was last week or the week before. I forwarded on that summary. There was a meeting of creditors last week, which I attended up until I ran out of time to go and attend another court hearing. That matter was going on for roughly an hour and a half by the time I got off, but I have no new updates since then. There's another meeting coming up, I believe, in February. But aside from the summary, I sent no, there's not a new status update.
Ongoing.
Yes, for the time being, it's ongoing.
Okay, thank you. I'll try to squeeze in one more issue before we move on to our next agenda item. I wanted to briefly discuss with the board the use of courthouse property, or I guess other county property. We have a document that people sign that says that they are going to, it gives us a name of who's using the property and somebody that we can hold responsible for any damage that is done. Are we all okay with the policy still being that pretty much anyone who wants to use the property can use the property at any time, that it's not being used for another purpose after a designee signs that document? Is that what we are okay with? The policy previously, I'd say for the majority of years in the past, has been someone would make a request, they'd sign that piece of paperwork, and then they would be able to use the property. If they needed to use the restrooms or something inside the building, it would come before the Board of Commissioners to get formal approval. I guess my take on it would be that it's public property, and I think I've sent this by email, and I think Mr. Schneider has commented on it, that it's public property. We want people to feel free to use it for whatever purposes they want, as long as they don't cause damage. I would be okay with anyone using the property at any time. We probably just need to have them file that paperwork. I'm open to hear some discussion on that briefly. Commissioner Hofstadter?
No, I agree with you totally that it's public property, and I'm okay with that. I like the idea of signing the paper, so that we do know the responsible party.
Sounds good, thank you. Commissioner Bramas?
Yes, I think I'm good as well. I can see some issues here, though. If someone uses the property without requesting permission, I like the idea of having the name on record, on file as to who's using the property and when. But if someone uses it without requesting permission, do we have an issue with that? Would there be trespassing? Would that be considered trespassing, or would we ignore that, assuming that there were no damages? How would we handle that? If somebody just shows up to stand on the courthouse square or on the lawn with holding a sign, or maybe a small group meeting on the courthouse steps or something like that.
I understand where you're coming from, and I think there would be anything we would or probably could do about that, as long as they weren't being disruptive or causing any damage to anything. Our policy would just be that we would request that they sign this paperwork, so we have a designated party if we get a request. I guess it's no different than somebody walking, a group of 5 friends walking around doing shopping downtown, and they come and eat lunch on the thing. It's probably no different. I mean, we're not going to lock down the courthouse at this point, I would think.
If things are to become out of hand, and again, it's a case by case basis, but asking someone to leave because of that situation and then remaining could rise to another level, such as trespassing at that point, depending on what it is that is going on.
I would think we could impose hours of operation that would be open and closed, just like a county park or another county property, but I'm not prepared to do that at this point. Any other discussion on that issue? Hearing none, we will move on. It's 9 o'clock. We will talk about road improvement with Mr. Bilderback. Someone, please. Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Fourth graders are pretty happy right now. I'm taking a break to come visit with you. I'm sure they're in capable hands.
You could be watching.
They may be, yeah, we should have done that. Honorable Commissioners, Blessinger, Hofstadter, Bramas, and Auditor Morton. Today, Junior, Billy Joe Bovril, and I, residents of DuBois County, stand before you representing 28 property owners served by a 1 mile stretch of County Road 850 West, a gravel road in western Cass Township. Our corner of DuBois County is growing with new and young families building homes and improving existing ones. As we speak to you this morning, a new home is under construction within 1/2 mile of 850 South intersection. The area is changing, and for these reasons, 850 West is in need of a road upgrade. There are 21 residents residing in 8 homes along this corridor. A new home was constructed in 2020. One lakeside cottage recently renovated to a family home. There are 3 homes located at 850's West intersections. Water lines and communication lines have been recently added and are upgraded. And improvements to nearby counties' roads resulting in increased traffic. For example, within 1 mile of 850 West, both Pike County and Warwick County roads coming into DuBois County have been improved and are paved within the last 2 years. Both of them have been increased and have been improved twice in the last 10 years or so. Increased farm traffic during spring planting and fall harvesting has also increased. And most importantly to us, 5 school-aged children or younger live along this road. School buses will be utilizing 850 West for at least another 2 decades. For these reasons, and with 100% support, including landowner Prairie Farms Dairy, we submit our petitions for improvement to the 1 mile section of County Road 850 West between County Roads 900 South and 1000 South. We sincerely thank Road Superintendent Berg for his assistance, and we thank you for your earnest consideration. And please join us in encouraging a safe and growing environment meeting the high standards known to DuBois County. I have prepared a map to give you an idea. Many of you may not be familiar with that corner of DuBois County, so I'd like to present that to you if that's okay. And I'll leave an extra copy for Commissioner Bramas. And I'll explain. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And then I'll explain it briefly to you. Sure. You probably know it by heart. But so as we look at the map, the orange line highlighted, that is the road in question, the segment. It's a 1 mile stretch, north-south road, 850 West. And then you'll see there's a lime green section. That is 950 South. That's where I live. It's a no outlet road. So we use 850 as our only outlet. The yellow highlighted road is 775 West, which my understanding is scheduled for improvements in 2022. The blue X's designate existing homes. The red X's indicate existing homes with school-aged children. 3 of those children are not yet in school, so they would get to preschool age. The green X is noted by the Bartle family cottage. That is the only access to the family cottage is using the 950 South Road and thus 850. And then around there, the black X's, that indicates landowners who own property along the road, who signed the petition, but they don't live exactly on the 850 road. So I hope that gives you just a little better idea of where we're located and how you also see on there, I forgot to mention, the Pike County Road that comes into DuBois County and then eventually will go into Holland, that turns into 950 South. That is paved. It was just paved last summer. And then our DuBois County 100 South that turns and meets into Holland Road Southwest, coming from the Selvin area. That was originally chip and sealed and now chip and sealed and paved all the way from Selvin to DuBois County. To the line. So that's what I have for you, and I believe you have the petitions. We were very pleased that we had 100% approval. And the COVID slowed us down just a little bit, but we were having everyone buy into the current modifications or the current guidelines that Mr. Blessinger was so kind to speak with me about. And they all agreed to abide by those. That's all that I have.
So do you have a petition?
Yes, yes, looking at that. Steve, can you give us an update from the county highways, position on this? Again, I know we spoke about this at our last meeting, and I think the idea was we have all the right of ways, is that correct? And we have, permission, or anything that the county would need to get this in line, has been done, right?
Yes.
And so it goes into the number of similar petitions that we have, right? And it gets graded, and we will select roads to be completed based on their merit, unless we decide to jump that or do something different. Am I accurate there?
Yes, I think this is going back to this current roads that have been approved that are in line to get done. Now, those were originally kind of first come, first served, they got approved, and that is still down, and that was basically stopped last year when we put the new one in, where the roads will be subject to a grading system, and then will be in that order according to that grade. So I explained that to go back with that.
Based on your projections, how long will it be until the first come, first served roads are finished? And do we have like 2 years of that left or more?
Yes, I think it was a little over than that.
I was gonna say, yeah, now that I'm thinking of it, it's probably closer to 5 last year.
That's the reason we put it into
Yes, I believe the last one should be completed in 2025, the way it appears. These are the projected costs here at $125,000 a year, so that's about how it's going to spend its way out. These are the ones that are already completed. Okay, so Mr. Gilderback's road will be the first one in that new list, which will be it'll be inspected every year and will be graded. And when we get to that one, if there's 3 or 4 in line, we will do the road first with the highest number.
Did you guys see the grading system and see how that works?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we met together.
I just see.
It's been very helpful.
As you have on that road, stuff, it seems like you probably rank pretty high.
We also discussed, if the landowners, if it's really important for them to maybe to hop above someone else that's in front of them, there's a provision in there where they can contribute money and help improve that evaluated score as well. So we agree on it.
Yes.
But,
It's always easier for us to say yes when somebody else is putting some coin on the table as well, so. It's not that we necessarily expect that. I mean, you're already paying your taxes on your road.
Right.
You should have a high quality, safe road anyway.
Right, and then I can, and also, we moved out on this kind of, my husband and I, 11 years, and road was impassable in certain areas. And my husband in Keith Black Road, had requested us literally remove trees on the west side of our county road, just so we could widen it, because we could not pass 2 vehicles at a time. So, I mean, we're also willing to do the work as well, because we did take down trees, and I know there would be more trees to the north of us on the west side of the road that would have to be removed as well. So we're willing to help in any way we can to improve our road.
For the record, who are you, please?
Billy Tilbaldrum.
Thank you.
And my husband, Peter.
Thank you. Well, great. No, I appreciate this. This is a nice professional presentation. We appreciate getting it. And, yep, you're in line, and we will give it consideration as we go forward.
I appreciate you stopping in as well, because it helps you all sell the need for the road there too. I mean, I could explain it, but it really means a lot more when the landowners.
Absolutely.
We thank you for your help. You've been very
Very
helpful.
much.
And good luck with your students.
Thank you, thank you.
You can share that, it's live, so it's.
Okay. Well, then they look at my grammar. I don't know if you want to. Thank you, have a good day. Thank you.
I for one can't
While
wait
we're on
until.
this, let me ask a couple of questions, for Steve. What is the surface of 900 south and of 1,000 south? What type of surface is on those roads?
900 South is currently a blacktop road, asphalt road, and we're looking at potentially resurfacing that one this year. It's getting kind of rough shape. The one to the south is a chip and seal road. Okay, that goes to the.
And both ends are paved,
Yes, both ends are paved.
and that goes on the scoring, but not.
Yes.
Yes. So I
And
like.
Mr. Silverback referenced the Pike County extensions. Are they paved as well on both 900 and 1,000?
Yes, they are. I believe that's- yeah. Yes, they are.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
And so with him, he is only asking for that stretch between those two roads, not north of there, that would remain rock, north of 900?
Yes, yeah. Yeah, I think this is between 900 and 1,000 south.
That's what he meant.
Yes.
So it's only about a mile.
Well, the two of you know roads better than we do, and would you say, just your feeling, is this road any more need than 10 other roads, or we have a number of rock roads that have probably a similar number of families over them. It's not a ton of families, but it's growing a little bit. It doesn't seem like it's.
It's almost a case by case where, you know, I think it's good that the landowners actually came in to make that argument because, you know, we can look at it objectively on our point of view, but they have their point of view. It's really best for them to come in. But, yeah, I mean, there's years ago when roads were done, a lot of the good ones were done and taken out. So now you're left with the ones where, you know, there wasn't very many people living on. It was, you know, rarely traveled and county continues to grow. So, those numbers I'm sure are picking up. So.
Should we have a goal of having 100% paved roads? I mean, is that a
I
good
don't
idea?
know if we can afford that.
No, I understand that, but I'm just saying as a,
Well, I can, picture in my mind a few gravel roads that, are not wide enough, that would take considerable amount of work, and even, you know, some of the old, dirt roads. That would take some considerable work to get to a point where they could even be, passable by two cars. You know, you talked about how the one area was so narrow that you couldn't pass two cars through it, and I can think of a couple of places like that, they're very lightly packed roads.
And to get those in a position where if you're gonna pave a road, you're gonna see obviously more traffic and that traffic is gonna be driving faster. So you have to take safety into consideration. So all of these landowners are also aware, not only have they given up, you know, 30 foot on each side of that roadway, we may have to go beyond those limits just to make slopes work out. If we have to cut a bank back or cut a hill, you know, like I said, to make the road wider and safer. So they're all aware of that as well. And it just, it takes a lot of prep in order to get that ready to go. Existing culverts that might be there may have to be removed with longer ones put in because now the road is wider. There's a lot of planning goes into something like that and a lot of cost as well. And depending on, you know, the road funding from from the fuel tax, you know, this, it's something we almost have to look at on a yearly basis and then make that determination. I think we've got enough to cover. Which I think is what we had talked about doing anyhow every year. We would revise that, so.
So is this gonna be put on that list then?
This will be put on the list, but it will be one that's evaluated. And then when these first come, first served get through, then the evaluated list will be the ones that we'll be taking a look at. And when it's time to do a road, we'll do the one with the highest evaluation.
Which will be several years?
Well, yeah, it'll be at least, I think, 2025 before that wonder list is done. And then 2026 would be the highest scored road of the one on that list.
Well, probably gonna have to go back a long by the time we get to the.
That's horrible. Excuse me,
As
Alan?
far as our goal is concerned, I think we have a pretty good policy in place. The thing that we can evaluate maybe periodically is the amount of money that we put into it. We are limited as to our funds, as Steve pointed out, depending on what MDH provides. And we have to maintain the roads that we have. So there's a limited amount of funds that we can put into new construction like this. And but you know, from year to year, that may change, which would accelerate or the other way, our ability to improve these roads.
Yeah, that's a good point, because along with that, as we continue to add miles of hot mix road, that means that, you know, snow plows and snow sanders are gonna have to cover more area, so the potential, I mean, as it grows to higher numbers, much higher numbers, we have to also probably look at adding equipment and material as well. It's kind of a cycle, but that's all part of it. And growth is good, we just have to be able to sustain that growth.
Thank you. I guess you want to go right into your
Yes, I can.
supervisor report?
So you keep this or will I keep it?
I'll take it in and get it recorded.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
Just as a continuation, I guess.
Unless
So
you change
we're doing
it.
what,
No, I didn't.
150,000 a year for these
125.
125? And how was that number determined? I mean,
That was determined back at the commissioners meeting a long time ago, because I believe, Elmer, wasn't that number about 80,000 at one time?
I think we started with 50
That could be.
and then slowly moved it up yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's based, I think, a lot on Steve's recommendation as to what we can afford and what we need to maintain our roads, as Steve was pointing out a few minutes ago. And what might be available beyond that.
so in your, I guess I look at the numbers briefly, would adding $25,000 too much? I mean, it would accelerate, it probably over 4 years, it accelerated a year.
It might be a year down, because some of these in this list are a little bit shorter. I think next year's there's a potential that we can get 2 of those roads done.
Well, the last road we did took 2 years.
Right, yeah, it's much longer stretch, and I think we had a lot of issues in there too, with banks to be cut back, a lot of trees had to go, and we actually had to get a contractor to get in there and help us out, because we don't have the time to do the work and then maintain the roads. We had to get a contractor in there to actually do the widening and improvement and stuff, so that all comes out of that 125. So that's why it took a little bit longer to get the other ones.
Okay. That bridge in mind, I believe.
Probably long as I go.
I have added basically a few, I think I had sent you some supporting documentation on a couple of
things that we're gonna cover. And then I sent another one this morning with a, updated list that I think I had showed you earlier, the chip seals. I sent this email earlier this morning, just so you had that. I figured it would come up with, Mr. Bilderback's presentation. Number one, the 2021 hourly equipment rates. We have our 2021 list, which is reflective of current FEMA rates. And the prices do not include the cost of an operator or material. So that is basically on the second page that I handed out. Also would have been the second page of the email I sent as well. So need an approval or motion and approval on our equipment rates.
Anybody have any questions or problems with the rates that were presented?
No.
Okay, I move that we approve the 2021 hourly equipment rate as presented. Have a first and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
I,
Motion carries.
Gilbert, can you hear me okay?
I can see, yes.
Okay. Item number 2 is the disposition of some equipment. We have an old Napa half-inch pneumatic impact, which is no longer operable. I'd like to declare it as junk, and we've also, it was purchased in 2012 with an original value of $163. We're obtaining a replacement. We also have a 2010 Sharp adding machine, originally valued at $136. It's basically melted down. I don't know if any of you have seen Ann on that thing, but she types faster than I've heard anybody type. It's shot, so we're gonna have to get a new one there as well. So I'd like to declare those as junk.
Anybody have any issues with those? I move that we declare the 2 items junk and allow disposition of said items. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye.
I,
Motion carries.
Okay. Next item, the Lee Bilderback petitions. I will take these into the recorder's office and get them recorded. So we have a recorded document of this, and we will go out here as time allows to go out and get that road evaluated. I also told Mr. Bilderback that when we do, I would send him that information so he knows what his score is based on this time frame of 2021, and we'll just do this once a year, basically this time of year, so we have that idea. So I'll give him that information.
So are you giving him a similar grade you give any road, or are you saying you're giving him the grade that we will eventually use for this?
It'll be the grade that we eventually use for this, but that's gonna change every year based on the addition of homes, or maybe we decided to put another 2% in per person or however. So this grading system will change every year. But as we decided, when this comes in, we will give it a grade so they know where we stand, and then every year it'll be reevaluated, especially when other ones come in.
Gives them the opportunity if at the end of the year they are 1 point short and some other road gets improved, they can go back in and make improvements by adding into it or whatnot to improve their score.
Gives them a little bit more incentive to contribute so they can leapfrog somebody else if they're right on the line and they know our move is going to be done this year. So, that helps with that. Okay. Item 4, our assistant clerk is going to be retiring. Wanda Beck began her public service life working for Hilda Schmidt, who was the first woman elected to the DuBois County Auditor's Office from 1975 to 1983. On June 25th of '90, Wanda was hired by the County Highway Department. She served in many capacities, from answering the phone to inputting timesheets, doing the payroll, calling in 811 utility locates, conducting monthly sanitation audits, and keeping up with sanitation scheduling amongst many other things that she does. She's mostly going to be missed for the plenty of the tasty treats that she brings in from cooking at home. So that might be good for the wellness committee. Anyhow, she's really going to be missed. Her retirement is planned for April the 9th, and due to the vast range of duties she does, I would like for permission to ask if we could have a replacement come in and hired probably by Monday, March the 8th of 2021. That would allow basically 2 periods of payroll to be done. One of them would be more of a normal one, but the other payroll would be following a holiday where the time frames are much shorter, and, you know, to understand, you know, how all that works, because when we have to have stuff in by 8:30, our trash guy goes around and gets all of the time sheets from each of the sanitation sites as well, and those have to be brought in by 6:30 before Rwanda can even start. So there's a method to the madness, but that's basically what we're looking at. And with all of the other stuff, she's gonna have to be trained on calling in the 811 utility locates, how all that works, it's an online system. So, there's a lot goes into it. So, I'd like to get your permission to have someone come in early, and maybe work with her for about a month, so there could be some training as we go. We will accommodate, you know, there's not a lot of room there, but we will accommodate a safe way for them to coexist, and then during days that one is going to be taking her personal PTO vacation and all that, this new gal will be able to have the workstation herself and continue to train and do day-to-day as it is. So, I guess what we would have to do is, if I've got your okay for that, I guess discussing the way to organize that funding. And I guess, Sandy, do we have to set up another line item for that?
You have to get an additional appropriation in Wanda's line item to pay the bill.
In one, okay.
Because they're both paid, and then you won't have enough to get to the you
Okay,
for the overall. And the payout.
so,
You just have to figure out how much. It's gonna be there.
okay. I'm looking at, I think, potentially 4 weeks, so if you can figure out what that is.
So they'll work together 4 weeks, does that include Wanda's time off and payout?
It includes her payout as well, so I'm talking in addition to what Wanda would be, you know.
Wanda's salary is there, but then.
We need 4 weeks of training pay for one employee that,
Yeah.
and we did determine what that rate is. As far as the board of commissioners are concerned, that's, from my standpoint, I support this. We, as a board, over the last 4 years, have supported bringing people in early, train them and have a smooth transition from a long-term employee to a newer employee. It makes good business sense for continuity of business. I would support doing that pending council funding. Commissioner Hofstadter, your thoughts?
I agree.
Those are good thoughts. Commissioner Brawley?
Well, I guess I could agree as well. And would like to thank Wanda, and we'll talk some more about that, but, yeah, we appreciate all of our employees, but Wanda is one of the longest serving employees in the county. Not the oldest, but one of the longest serving employees in the county, and has done an outstanding job through the years, not only doing the things Steve enumerated before, but along with Ann, putting up with all of those guys out there, it's got to be tough.
It certainly is. If you almost have to have a halo.
And bad hearing.
Selected here.
Selective hearing, that's better. So, I will ask that you work with Margie, going through the hiring process. And I will move that we approve the creation of this temporary position to shadow Wanda, or whoever the new hire is, for a period of 4 business weeks.
Second.
Got a first and a second. Is there any other discussion?
What would an appropriate time?
Hearing none. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 I,
Motion carries. What's your question?
What would be an appropriate time to get the additional aid? Would that be right away, Sandy, or?
She's gonna be doing it in March, it's gonna be February, so yeah, we can be doing it now.
Okay,
Working on it.
so, we'll work on coming up with a number that we need as an additional.
They have not set their February meeting yet, so that's gonna drive when, we have to do the paper.
Okay.
The paper mix is coming extremely early now.
Okay, so we'll work that scheduling out, and we'll just plan on bringing this before the council in February.
I guess Jamie, if you wanted to give them a heads up next, I think they're meeting on Monday, then the council, if they have any questions, they can reach out to you, but I don't think there would be much concern with this. It'll be probably under $3,500 for 4 weeks, and I think it's important to just get the hiring process started. You don't know if, do you have someone in-house that you're wanting to move to that position?
No.
Okay. I didn't believe so, but I thought I would ask. So otherwise we'll open it up and we never know. People will.
We had someone nominated, but it wasn't a serious nomination.
We'll work on it.
Okay, and then, the final order of business is, equipment replacement. During the summer, we were doing some, asphalt work and, utilizing our roller. We had an agreement with, Cal Park Quarries to, rent their paver, so we were doing a lot of, patchwork over the summer with that, and our, roller just, it's very old. We've lost compression in the engine. The only way to get that back is pretty much of a complete overhaul, which means new pistons, cylinders, a whole ball of wax. That could be possibly, 12, 15,000. Also going to be needing another drive motor. We replaced one about 3 years ago on the front drive. The other one is going bad, and that's about a $10,000 to $12,000 part. So in order to fix it, we'd be throwing $20-some odd thousand into a machine, which is not worth that based on its age and everything else. So I had the mechanics and my assistant kind of look online and look at some available things here. Now these are through one of these is through a Caterpillar dealer. The other one is through I believe it was Machinery Grader or something, but they've got good reputations as far as providing what they're showing out there. I'm also going to get with them to discuss possibly, Skyping, maybe have somebody, so we don't have to drive all the way. I think one of these is in Minnesota, the other one is in Louisiana. So it's going to be really tough to go take a look at these. I think we could do some Skype or get some video taken where we can work with them. They can show us, the operation. We can listen to the engine, that type of thing. Have them look into the engine to see if there's any major leaks there. Try to visualize it as best we can.
I spoke to Steve about this briefly on the phone the other day, and I asked, well, what's a new one cost? And he informed me around possibly up to $200,000 range. So,
Yeah, it's not like a combine on a farm where, you have to have it. It's awfully expensive, and you're only going to use it for a certain period of time throughout the year, which to me, in my opinion, it wouldn't justify us buying a brand new one. So I went into this fully anticipating finding a good used one for a decent price and taking it from there. So we found a couple of them here that are in $36,000 range. We haven't, negotiated anything or even talked about a, delivery fee on this yet. So I thought 40,000 would be a good number to, catch these.
What do we do with this position of the old unit?
We'll probably have to sell it or do a auction or something.
It has some value possibly.
Yeah, we had somebody that was looking at it, and looking at a trade, but the machine we were looking at was 90 some odd $1,000, including a trade. And I didn't want to spend the extra money.
My only other question on it, and I think I'm finished, is we have those rates where we can, where we, how are the equipment rates? The rate for a roller is $25 an hour. Is there anywhere that we could even get one that we could use the limited times that we need it and not buy one and not have one ourselves, or is that just an inconvenience factor, or what is that?
Well, that's a FEMA rate for work that's being done after an emergency, something like that. If we have to go out and get it from, Caterpillar or something like that, it's obviously.
They'll probably charge you $600 a day or something, or I don't know what it is.
Yeah, plus,
That's not an option, I guess. I just thought of that.
we will use that roller, we use that roller every year during our chip and seal operations. And then if we've got other, like we did last summer with blacktop. It gives us the affordability basically to do things as we have time and to not have to worry about scheduling that piece of equipment. Yeah, I think it justifies having our own.
So the way he would pay for this is transferring money from the gas, oil, and diesel line item to his equipment line item. I'm satisfied that that's a reasonable thing to do. Commissioner Hofstadter, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it sounds like that's very useful, so, I would support doing this.
Commissioner Bromas?
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I just have, I think, one question. I realize condition improvement is the primary goal, but of the ones you're looking at, Steve, how many, what's the age difference from the one that we had, compared to the one you're looking at?
With the two that I'm looking at, the oldest one is a 2006, so we're gaining 15 years. Off of the one that we have now.
Okay. Yes.
The other was the 2010.
And
Yeah, I think it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, the other one was a 2010. Looks like it's only $890 more. I think they both roughly got the same amount of hours. So if we're, yeah, so if we're looking at value, I think, for $800, the 2010 would be the one that I'd lean at, but, we'll have to see once what destination charges and all that can be worked out as well. Maybe once we take a look at it, we may see some things that we don't like with it. So, that's subject to decision later, but I'm looking at least get some money in place so we can pull the trigger on something like this, because as we get closer into the paving season, good use machines are going to be hard to come by.
I'll move that we approve the transfer of appropriations that he will have to get finalized by the county council. First and a second, all in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Anything else for Mr. Berg today? Nope. Looks like no. All right, thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Wendell? I don't, I'll just scratch it up. Okay.
Okay, the city of Jasper courthouse square revitalization. We had a meeting on Thursday. I attended via Zoom the best I could. Unfortunately, I was surveying for some guys on a ditch project I had to get done, so what full attention wasn't on me. I gave the information I had that I had to get going. They did mention bathroom schedule as far as keeping them open. They still would like to do it. They're thinking it was like, our normal business hours are until 5 o'clock, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and then on Wednesday until like 7. That's, I guess, when the latest business is open on Wednesdays. That's when they let them stay open. And then from 11 to 4 on Saturday and Sunday is what they're requesting. Now, and then I told you guys before, roughly $50,000 to upgrade the bathrooms and secure them. Make sure we cover all the utilities that are exposed in there. Upgrade the doorways that are in there as well. Those are all wood and glass. Those are not break sooner or later. So I just wanted to get a feeling on your guys' ideas of the bathrooms, so they have an idea which way they want to go. Do you guys want to proceed with using the courthouse bathroom plan, or would you like to go tell them thanks but no thanks, we'll keep them open whenever we can, and under special occasions, but then that, or, we're closing them at 4 or 5 o'clock, whatever time we usually close them, we're not open on Saturdays.
I'm not sure how I feel about it. I'll pass it on to Mr. Halstead, see if he has any thoughts. Get the conversation started.
I tend to think that our best bet is to keep them open during our business hours only. The amount of cost is just pretty great.
Right.
I don't know if there's any other options there, but I think that covers the main business hours for all the businesses on the square. I think that would be sufficient.
So basically, we're maintaining the same policy.
What we're doing now.
We're not going to change or open.
Commissioner Bramas, your thoughts?
My initial thought was that we want to be a good partner with the city, and if we can make this happen for a reasonable amount of money, that it would be a good thing. But I'm beginning to think that for the money that it's going to take to convert these into something that is safe and secure, that there surely are better options, whether it's new construction somewhere or whatever it is. So I would tend to agree with Nick that we keep it open during business hours and prefer that they find another option for evening.
Okay, thank you both for your comments. I still am open about it. $50,000, is that a good value? Will we get an increase in people downtown, or will people that come downtown have a better shopping or recreational experience by us having a bathroom? I guess I'd have to hear those arguments, and I think the city of Jasper may have some of those arguments, or maybe the merchants have some of those arguments. I'm not sure. So I guess I'm still not close to the idea of doing some kind of expansion if necessary, but I guess I don't want to close the conversation. I think there's still, at least in my opinion, I'm still open to working with them. I'd have to hear their arguments, I guess. Okay. More than just hearing that it's 50,000 to do it, they'd like it.
That's fine. Okay.
So once if they have something, if they even wrote down a summary of the request or something. I mean, I know that we have a time frame now. They wanted, you said, an extra hour open most weekdays, over and above where we are now. It's not a huge deal. Not the weekends, that's an extra 5 hours each weekend. I honestly don't think they get used a whole bunch, but
Yeah, I think we'd be open for no reason in my opinion. Okay.
for a lot of the time, yeah. But there again, I'm like Commissioner Bramas. If they think this is a big part of what they're doing down here and they're going to revitalize, and there's going to be, I'd love to see a lot more traffic downtown, but currently with the traffic that I see when I'm downtown on the weekends, it doesn't necessarily warrant it. So that's where I'm at.
I guess my thoughts are, Who's gonna monitor our bathrooms when nobody's around?
Well, this is out there, but we've got the additional lot down here that used to be the West County Bank, building that we use as a parking lot. That belongs to the county or the city?
City.
The city? Okay. I was gonna say, what would it cost to build a restroom similar to what they have along the Riverwalk at Beeler Plaza on that property that would be completely, away from the courthouse and then alleviate some of the security concerns. And if it's less than $50,000, that would be, another option. But that's, city property, but the county could help participate in,
I can't see putting a new, even if you get a single room with a single toilet, a single sink, I don't think you're gonna get $50,000.
I think you either don't.
Just getting engineering, getting water and electric, utility for the probably. I don't recall what they spent down here in Central Green, but it was, I remember hearing people complaining about how expensive the vacuum.
well, it's gotta be handicap accessible and amongst other things, correct.
So, okay, so how are you going to respond to the city? I know they're kind of halfway, you want some kind of, you want to tell them I need a proposal of what you guys, a formal proposal, what you're asking for, to approve or deny?
I think that would be reasonable and basically give us your best sales pitch. Why is it needed and why should we spend $50,000 on this?
Well, I guess another question would be, and I'm sure we could go around and do our homework, but what's open on the square during these hours that aren't provided? How many businesses are we affecting? If most of the businesses close at 5, that additional hours really, it's when you start getting into the Saturday and Sunday and so on and so forth. Having an additional hour that you need to do all this work in order to have another hour a day. Maybe not, I don't know.
I guess what I'm getting at, if 5 of the chamber members, or not chamber members, downtown merchants came in and said, hey, you didn't think about this is why it would really benefit us to do this. No, I want to stay open to hearing that, or if the city said, here's something maybe you didn't think about, then I want to be open to consideration, but I'm with you at this point. Brent, how much activity is it gonna get, and is it really just a futile act?
Because, I think you guys do a lot for, chalk walk, things like that. You guys open it extra, and it's open more often. You guys work with them a lot. I'm afraid if you have it open every Saturday and Sunday, that's a lot of extra hours on Scott and money that you're gonna be wasting every year on paper towels, toilet paper, utilities, keeping that, that's gonna add up really fast too. And if anything is broke, who's paying, I guess, our insurance, things like that could add up really quick. I know you want to be a good neighbor. I think we are being a good neighbor, keeping it open during our business hours, public restroom. So that's my opinion, but I will email them the prices and then saying that you guys are looking for, you don't necessarily want them to come here, you just want some kind of presentation and work stating this is what, right?
I think that would be reasonable.
Okay, that's fine. If you want them here, I can have them here, or I can request it, I guess, but that way.
Thinking of the option, if they want to come and present it, if they feel like they have a strong case for why this is necessary. I don't think that any of us have our minds so set that we can't be persuaded if a good argument is made.
Okay. I'll get that to them. Okay, community crossings. As you guys can see, right now we got scheduled 7 roads to put on the grant application. So this year we're gonna do a little different. The past couple of years we've done each road as its own application. Well, last year we didn't really get burnt on it. I shouldn't say that, we saved a lot of money, but we could have combined projects and I could have added a little more asphalt here or there and spread it out and put a better product down. So this year, we're gonna submit 2 different applications. We're gonna have 3 roads on application number 1 and 4 roads on application number 2. The reason for it is northern roads getting done, southern roads getting done. I have the estimates listed down here. It's roughly $1.45, $1.47 million.
worth of work. Well, you know, the grant is only good for $1 million, but we have a budget where we can get the rest of that in. I think with us doing this, we could get a cheaper price too, if prices are similar to last year. So with that being said, I do need a signature from Chad and board approval for a financial commitment letter. We've done it every year so far, stating the project estimates, what we are willing to give as part of it. So there's the letters. This year we have figured out of the lowest fund, which is the Senate Bill 67 money we've used the past 4 years. We've got $406,000 and $406,632.71 available for community crossings, which leaves us roughly $67,845.29. These are both estimates, so not exact figures. Or they're exact figures for my estimates, but which is what they're looking for. But that didn't mean so. Out of local road to street, right, Steve? We're going local road to street. We would need additional appropriation of $70,000, which can be taken care of at a later date by the council. But that's just giving you a breakdown of where the money is coming from.
I did have one question about the roads, on 575 East. What is the scope of that work? What are we doing on that road?
Asphalt pavement.
Just all of these is, so you have mill.
No, we're doing no milling. We'll mill butt joints for good, ends, to give it one smooth surface. Then we'll add wedge and level to the bad sections to help build out the base, with a chest surface. And 575 is from 56, just no going north and around the chicken houses. You'll see where the pavement ends. It's roughly a mile of road. Basically, yeah, it's to the township line, but it's hard to explain. Up past chicken houses.
I'm, don't have any opposition, anything on the applications, Commissioner Hofstadter? Commissioner Bromas, any questions or anything on the application?
No, I don't think so. I just appreciate all the work Brent puts into this. I know a lot of counties go out and contract that work out, and so we're lucky in that respect. So thank you.
Okay, I move that we approve the 2 applications for my signature and to proceed. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
So with this, I should have everything else done. I should go on the broadcast. Should be good. Get this maybe hopefully this week. Because I know the nice part about INDOT, well, the bid says people, is I'll review, I submit them, they'll review them, check my eyes, you know, make sure I's dotted, T's crossed, that type of stuff. They got problems, they send it back and then I can fix it. So I want to get out there as soon as I can, like lay eyeballs on it. My last thing, Bridge 143 down by Holland. The north wall is done. The south wall footer was poured Friday. Everything's moving along. The weather's working with us. We're getting too bad weather, so it's moving. We're making progress out there.
Anybody have anything else?
Brent,
Yeah,
where is Bridge 143? You said down by Holland,
yeah,
Township.
yeah. It's east of Holland.
What road is that on?
Holland Road northeast. It's right in the bend by Steckler's old farm.
Holland Road northeast.
It's just south of 800.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, right where Steckler Farms was.
Okay. Okay.
You giving me a hard time?
You good then, Commissioner Brown?
Yes, I am.
Okay, thank you. Sheriff, you left for a second? Thank you. council, if you just do, she's the one that said this. Yeah, you're welcome to review that or give it. Yes, sir. Okay, next up, we have the Substance Abuse Council. Looks like we have, Jenna Beaker and Terry Tanner here.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Here is the review
Thank you.
and for you, and then I did only print out, you know, one elder's copy. Sorry.
I can give him this when I'm done.
Okay, excellent. All right, good morning.
Thank you.
And I want to start with giving my regrets for Deb Hatch. She's our chair who usually does this presentation, and she is actually high risk. She decided to send me instead. As you guys know, we grant out funds every year. Essentially what we do is we pull data from a lot of different local sources and we develop a comprehensive plan, which includes analyzing that data to develop problem statements and then goals. And then we accept grant applications and fund grant money out based on those goals. So the first page that you have is all of the grant funding decisions. And as you can see, we actually had quite a few applications. We were really excited about that. And based on the way that the grants fell, we did have to alter some funding. So if you look at the very bottom of the color coded section, it shows what was left after those grant decisions were made. And obviously we were well over in treatment and intervention. So what we did is we moved some funds around and we actually submitted that to ICJI and that was approved at the end of October. So that is what we were looking at as far as what we funded. And I don't want to read all the grants to you, but if you have any specific questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. So it is looking like what we ended up with is 34,660.12 to pull down for 2021. And that roughly translates to, or exactly translates, thanks to Terry, to $8,665.03 for each of the 4 categories, that being prevention, education, treatment, intervention, and criminal justice services. Now, this is my first time doing this presentation, so I am more than welcoming questions. If there's anything I missed, anything I said that you normally don't hear, or anything of that nature, please let me know.
I don't believe I have any questions. I understand how the council works. I was a member for many years. I know Commissioner Brothers has been to a meeting or two himself, and I will take some time to review the comprehensive plan. So when was this one finished?
This one was submitted at the end. Actually, it ended up being June last year. They extended the deadline because of COVID.
Okay.
So this was 2020.
So this is one you're operating under currently.
Correct. And then the next one is due at the end of March.
So I will review it, and if I have any questions, I know people on the council, so I'll reach out to them
Excellent.
myself. Commissioner Hofstadter, you have any questions or comments?
Perfect. And it's on that first page of the plan. So, and I feel like you segued to an excellent shameless plug there. We do have our meetings the second Tuesday of every month at 11. They're virtual right now, so if you'd like to be on the mailing list, my email address is there. We'd love to have you. And we are pretty active on social media because that's the way we've been reaching people, right, during the pandemic. So feel free to look us up. We have Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So all over the place.
And the other plug can be that I know sometimes over years, it's great whenever these grants, if you have more applications than you have money, they can be competitive. And if there are other community organizations that can help meet this need, a good job for us is to encourage them to apply.
Absolutely. And I do think, the money that the county received in the Lilly Endowment is really going to change what it looks like next year on applications. Because some of those people who are asking for our funding would be receiving funding.
Right.
Lots of good stuff in the works, so I'm excited to be a part of it.
Yeah, there's a lot of things going on. Commissioner Bramas, anything final from you?
Not really. I appreciate leaving a copy and I will review it. And thank you for the work that you do.
Thank you. Terry, did I miss anything? All right.
Thank you, Terry. And I think that's it. Thank you very
All
much.
right.
Have a good day.
Guys.
Well, I do want to ask, Terry, in years past, have the commissioners formally moved to approve pulling down this money? I know it can't be used for anything else. I think in the past, we have given our, I guess, our approval, even though our approval isn't necessary, it's our support. I guess we've given our support, and then the council has ultimately decided
Yeah,
the money.
I thank you, Commissioner. Appoint, the group to oversee the granting of the funds and the, DuBois County to use from the family. And the commissioner gave us the authority to administer the funds. The kind of a statute set up. And that's why we want to come back to the commissioners.
I think one of the requirements is you have to give us a report every year. So we,
One of our function has been, the council has to approve the appropriation. So we have to go there.
just so it is in the record, I will make a motion of support for the council, the DuBois County. Again, it's not necessary, but even with that, we'll say that we will support the DuBois County Substance Abuse Council's request for a total balance to be pulled down in the amount of $34,660.12. Have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Motion carries. So now you formally have our support. Thank you. Have a great day.
You did do the same last.
Thank you. Next up, we have a highway employee discussion. Commissioner Bramas.
Yes, I would like to make a statement and a motion, as a result of the executive session we had last Tuesday, that's January the 12th. I would like to make a motion that the following statement be entered into the minutes. It has come to our attention that in one department, employee hours were adjusted by allowing employees to go home early on the days leading up to the Christmas holiday. This situation has been addressed. Payroll was adjusted to reflect the hours worked by employees, and the appropriate reprimand will be issued and recorded. We would like to remind everyone to always follow the guidelines of the DuBois County Employee Handbook, and that any adjustment in employee work schedules must be approved by the DuBois County Board of Commissioners.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor.
I'll second.
We have a first and a second. Is there any other discussion on this motion? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Aye. The motion carries. Next up, we have at 10:15, we have a COVID-19 shot clinic. So I don't see Mr. Werner here. We still have about 10 minutes for him. We'll handle some miscellaneous items. Start with the county attorney if he's ready.
I can fill some of that, I'm sure.
Thank you.
First, there's a joint resolution, would be 2021-01. It's a resolution regarding the lending of funds and a loan agreement with the Pocono Lake Regional Water and Sewer District. This has been reported on at our prior meetings, and the Pocono Lake Regional Water and Sewer District is going to be appearing before the DuBois County Council next week at their meeting. Brief synopsis is the county, through the council and the commissioners' approval, loan money to Pocono Lake Regional Water and Sewer District. With terms of repayment, the final payment for that was made on December the 22nd of 2020. This resolution is simply memorializing that. They've said that we satisfied our part, they satisfied their part, and we're done. I've drafted it to come to both boards simply because both boards approved it. I forgot the year already, I'm sorry.
99?
I had it in there.
2000, April 26th of 2000?
April 2000.
So, if there's discussion needs to be had, that's fine. If not, that is a joint resolution I'm bringing to you guys first, and then we'll go to the council next week at their monthly meeting.
I have nothing to add. Nothing from Commissioner Hostet or anything from you, Commissioner Bronco.
Not really. I know that from sitting on the board of Stoker Water that loan, although it certainly started before I was on the board, that loan was appreciated and they're happy to get it paid off and moving forward. I also thought it was interesting, Chad, I think you pointed out that there was a looking back article in the paper
Yes.
that I think was a discussion among the commissioner meeting that probably started this whole process. So it's good that it happened and it's good to put it behind us.
Very good. I move that we approve resolution number 2021-01. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, then after signatures, I can move, pass it on to the auditor, and she'll take care of that with the council next week. That's all right. Okay. Ready for me to keep going?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Next item, this was discussed, I believe in our very first meeting in December, and it's been discussed numerous times before. A tax sale parcel located along State Road 64. This is more or less, I believe, right in line with state right of way. However, it keeps coming up for tax sale. It did again in September. It did not sell. Therefore, the certificate was issued to the commissioners. We sent out notices to the title owner as well as all interested parties. The time for redemption, period of redemption has passed. And the next step would be to file a petition with the DuBois Circuit Court for the issuance of a tax deed. In order to do that, I'd ask for the board's permission to authorize the commissioner's president to enter that document. Sandy Morton would then attest to that, and I would take the steps from there to get it on file with the court.
I move that we allow the president of the Board of Commissioners to sign necessary documents to make this property transition happen. Any further discussion?
I have that document here. I sent a draft to you. If you can sign, pass it on to the auditor, and I'll collect it back. The conclusion.
All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? I guess not. That's unanimous. The motion carries. Mr. Schneider, I believe you have one for order for a title as well.
I sure do. Sympathetic towards the highway department. They purchased a piece of equipment. I believe when I looked through everything, it would have been the first quarter of last year. They purchased that equipment from a dealership in North Carolina. The title originated from the state of Washington Department of Transportation. More or less, through no fault of the highway department's own and many wranglings with the Indiana Bureau of Motor Vehicles, ultimately came down and said, you need to just get a court order. So I've now taken the liberty to draft a request for a court order to issue title from the Indiana BMV to the name of the county for this piece of equipment. And I'm sure Steve or Brent or anyone could discuss if you want at length of the hurdles and headaches. If not, I would ask for a motion to allow the board president to enter into the document so that I may make filings with the court system.
Are there any questions, Commissioner Hofstadter, on this issue?
Yeah. I'm not aware of it.
Yeah,
Just explain briefly.
when we bought the truck, they had title to it, but it turns out it wasn't properly titled to Levon from the state of Washington. And, through many efforts of not only Levon, but ourselves to try to get the state of Washington to sign, basically, I think it was an origin or title new reassignment or something, reassignment. The state of Washington was not going to do that, and we're not going to help us with that. We also had insurance for inspection of the vehicle, proven that it wasn't stolen, so obviously it's clear title, and the state would even take that as an okay for the title is good, so, we tried getting the state to help us out with, is there another way around this, or there wasn't outside of the court order, so we're not doing this,
Thank you.
Commissioner Brown?
No, I don't think so. I think I understand the situation. I guess my question would be, is the court order the last step that we need to enter into? Is that going to force the issue, or will there be further delays?
I will give you a typical lawyer response is that I'm under the impression that will be enough, but I do not speak for the Union of Bureau Mortgage.
Okay.
It is a good next step.
It has worked before.
Okay. Good.
I move that we approve, the president of the board signing the request for court order for the title.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Motion carries.
You know my last one, please?
Yes, please, with 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Don't want to keep the health department waiting.
The Du Bois County Park, was on a Zoom conference call last week regarding, you recall, we've been discussing this since the most recent round of grant funding has been approved. The county deeding back to itself, the property that will now be held in perpetuity for, conservation. In order to do that, prepared the deed, discussions were had about whether or not we would want to send a public road sometime in the future down the southern boundary of that. I was advised in the call I was on last week that for at least 80 acres of that ship sailed either 2 decades ago or 4 decades ago, but we can still preserve it on one track. And with the commissioner's approval, I'll draft my deed accordingly. I've talked to Brent that we need at least a 60-foot right of way on that southern boundary. And if you guys are all content with that, I can prep that deed and bring to a future meeting.
Mr. Chair, it wouldn't be a right of way, would it? We'd be owners.
We still may, yes, sorry, but the 60 feet would then be used in the future for road
So
development.
we'll have a 60-foot ownership and we don't have any right of way, so the remaining parcel will be for recreation purposes per the agreement.
And if after further discussion with Brent, it's time to have a 60 feet part starting out. Or 50 feet. We have to acknowledge, and it's not that we need to. We may need 100 feet too. There may be some disturbance, but there will be no taking. Correct.
Sounds good to me. I'm in favor of Mr. Schneider proceeding in that way.
Second.
I don't necessarily need a motion on that as an update on the process.
Commissioner Bravo, any issues?
Yeah, just have a question. I think I misunderstood in the communication this week. So do I now understand that we will be keeping back a 60-foot right of way on the southern edge for the possibility of a future road through there?
Just on the single parcel that we most recently acquired. On the other parcels, that ability is gone.
The easy ability is gone, you can do it in the future, but there are a lot of hurdles. I'm sorry.
Okay. I suppose if at some point we did put a road in from the west and we already have a short road in from the east, there could be a park road that would connect the two. That wouldn't be an issue, would there? I mean, it would be an issue in who would use it. They may chain it off or gate it off, something like that. But for emergency reasons, there may be access from both ends of that if the park puts a road in themselves.
The park would be allowed to do that as part of their system and in their plans, but it would not be a public road, it would be a private park road.
Right.
Okay, thank you. We are now at our time for 10:15. Mr. Werner, you want to come up, please?
I'll try to make this pretty quick. So in preparation of more vaccine coming, basically what I'm asking today is for us to be able to bring on temporary workers to utilize the vaccine grant that we received from the state to help, fund our temporary employees and to help staff these clinics that we have planned in the future. So at the current moment, we're doing 450 shots a week at Health Department, and starting 4 weeks from that date, we'll have to ramp up to 900. We do not have the capability to socially distance and bring 900 people into our building, so we will then do the second doses through the drive-through, but we're going to need additional staff to do that. And then also, we have in the plans of 2 Saturday clinics, one hopefully this weekend, and then the 30th, where we'll be doing a mass vaccination, probably 1,000 or so shots in one day. So we're going to need additional help for that as well. Those are still being planned. The schedule has not been opened up for that yet. So get the press release out as soon as I get that information. But I'm going to need a considerable amount of help and assistance to get this done.
Do you have a number for us of the amount of temporary workers you would like to bring on?
I think the list that I forwarded to Marky, there's probably going to be, 40 to 60 people, because not everybody's going to be able to work every day. We're going to have a list to be able to pick from. I'm still trying to finalize that list of who wants to work and who doesn't and when they can. So I'm going to get I got the list to Marky today. I'm still adding as we go. I think he's going to send out an email packet with all the basic onboarding information they need, and then he can do a short training with them if he needs to. So that's kind of where we're at on that.
I guess I need to, what I'm trying to consider is I want to support what you're doing, but I want to have parameters on what we're actually approving, because it has to be, I don't think it could be a general open-ended motion. I wouldn't think that would be good.
So currently we have a grant from the state, and what I propose to do is to exhaust that grant first, because it ends June 31st. And then if I still need funding after that, or even before that, if it runs out before that, then I'll probably have to go to council and ask for it out of a different fund, because I don't know how long this grant is going to last, but I want to use that first so we don't lose that money and have to dip into the county fund. I guess I do have kind of a proposal. I don't know if you need the dollar figures or not. We have PRNs that are already on our list. Those won't have to be signed up. We can just keep paying those at their rate. And then my proposal is the temporary nurses that we bring on would be $20 an hour, and the temporary clerks would be $15 an hour.
And at those rates, we believe you'll have, that'll be a draw enough to have sufficient staff?
Yeah, so I have a list that are willing to work for that amount. I think a lot of them just want to help the community, and if they can get a little compensation that's under what we're paying our current nurses, but I kind of have to look out for the money that I have and try to make it last as long as possible too.
If you can get people to do it at that, and they're doing it partially out of a need to serve, that's appreciated. I want to support this. I guess I'll lean on the auditor. Do you have, or anybody that can tell me the best way of proceeding?
Well, the thing is you can't bring on anybody without having the pre-employment stuff done.
Yes.
Because we don't want somebody coming on payroll that we have no idea that they're doing. We have our procedures and things that we have to follow, the I-9.
So how long is that going to take if I can get that list today?
Trying to get me that list today, and it's all approved, it's going to be, typically, I need to get that out as soon as possible, so I'd like to get that out this afternoon, and then, if you could have follow-ups with whoever on these lists, that the importance of getting that paper, because they can't start until they get paperwork back, so.
So if they get it back to you, what's the timeframe to get them signed
You want them Saturday, right?
up? I have to have them Saturday.
So they need to have everything turned in by Friday.
Okay. And then is it possible, you need to sit with them in person or?
I'm gonna be able to do everything remotely for these.
I just want to make it clear that nobody can work your clinic if they haven't turned anything in.
If they volunteer, they can, right?
For compensation. If someone wants to
If
volunteer.
they
If
were-
you're gonna have them on payroll, they've had to have their paperwork in before they start.
I understand that. It's why volunteers, I don't need to decide how to park, right?
Just go through the discussion we had about the.
We'll have them sign a confidentiality agreement. Yes, I've got that ready to go as well.
I don't want them coming back saying, oh, now I want money.
Yes.
Because we only have, what, 3 days?
Well, I got the call yesterday from the state saying they have a large amount of vaccine that they need to get pushed out, so I've got to get it done.
I understand that, but they have to understand our process too. I mean,
Yeah, I totally get it. I just need to know how long it's gonna take Marky so I can get him on board.
If I get back on Friday, no
I won't have that till Monday evening.
For the purposes of this board, I think I am satisfied to move that we approve as many temporary, part-time positions as necessary as the funding warrants until such time that the funding is gone. That would be one component. The second component would be, I would move that we waive the urinalysis test requirement for these folks to get them in here and working as soon as possible with as few road bumps as possible. I think that may help speed the process a little bit instead of getting 60 urinalysis tests.
Yeah, and a lot of them are already nurses with the hospital and other doctors' department or doctors' offices and retired nurses. So, and then we are going to have clerical staff too. So, yeah.
But I think that's what we can do as a board. We can approve the hiring of as many temporary employees as necessary to get this work done under the constraints of the funding and waive the urinalysis. That would be my motion, that we do the two of those pending council approval for whatever part of it the council needs to do.
I'll second your motion.
And a first and a second. Commissioner Bramas, feedback?
Feedback, I agree with your motion. I just appreciate everybody working together, to make this happen as quickly as possible. I know there's a lot of demand out there, and if we can meet that demand, that's a positive thing. So thank you, Sean and Marky and Sandy and everybody that's involved.
Okay, so we have a first and a second on the motion. Before we finalize, does that motion sound like it meets your need?
So I have to go to the
The
council.
county council has to set the rate of pay. So if you work them Saturday and the council decides, nope, they're not giving them that, they have to be aware of that.
But if they approve it on Monday, then they can turn in next payroll and get paid, right?
Because right now, I don't have a rate, I don't have a
Well,
rate of
I
pay.
think this is what I need to bring to the council, right?
Well, that, and we'll have to do a salary ordinance with that.
Okay, and then I can't do the additional fund until February because you already advertised for,
Right.
okay, got it.
All in
And
favor of the
that's the
motion?
discussion Monday night. Sorry. It's okay.
All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. And thank you for, again, thank you for getting as many of these done as we can. And if we need to bring however many people we can bring in to do the work, we're happy to. I'm happy to try to support that, and hopefully the drive-through works well and all of that.
It's been a challenge, but we'll get through it.
Well, the drive-through is complete, correct?
It's ready to go. The last bill came over the weekend or yesterday. I sent it to Connie, so it should be done.
Now, you have to have a change of the door.
Well, that was supposed to be in the packet and I guess it was somehow omitted when they submitted the plan, so
Currently, the door goes out, but it won't come back in.
We're gonna have to deal with that, probably out of, building maintenance, done with, rent from way. I think Scott's working on that. Right now, we'll just have to use it as a exit only and just leave the door cracked, because there's no handle on the outside to get in. It's just,
You can't buzzer something either.
no, the only way is if I would screw a handle to the outside and just leave it unlocked, but I don't really want to do that either, because if we get it, then anybody can walk in the middle of the night.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anything from EMA?
No, I'm just here with the first time.
Okay, got it, thank you. Okay, we're gonna take a 3-minute break.
And I can tell you that too, if you want to.
Yeah, that would be better than just for 7 for them.
Okay. Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah.
All the operations are being
Mr. Hope, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Good morning, sir. All right, what kind of business do you have today?
Jackie McFerrin requested a room be built in her office. She wants to do Zoom meetings, and she wants someplace to go where it's quiet. So I come up with this little office there in the middle room of her office.
Okay.
That is just an estimate of what it's gonna cost. It's gonna be time and material. So and I told Jackie that, and she's okay with it. I said it can go up, it can go down. That's not including Matrix. We gotta get Matrix into the internet port there. So it's gonna go up a little bit. She has money to pay for it out of her, whatever fund that is, agriculture fund, or she said she would pay for it.
Right. Okay, so I'm looking at this drawing here. Which way is north? So
This is west. That's where she now wants to move the books downstairs. She said she found room downstairs.
this is, so they've got the computers back here. Like the public computers, you come in this way, right? This is south, or what? What is this door?
This is the new door. That's the old one. No, that's the door. This is just the room.
So you're looking at just.
The windows are here, right?
Yes, the window here.
So currently, she has her large machine here. She wants to clear everything that's in here.
But you're building out.
Rolling in.
You're rolling it, it's not gonna go, we're not gonna mess with the top ceiling.
We're gonna put an 8-foot ceiling in a 9-foot room. I mean, an 8-foot wall.
Yeah, we're gonna be like a foot of clearance up on top. It's gonna kind of be like the room downstairs.
Okay, so what is the actual size of the room?
10 by,
I mean, I see this is 10 by 9 on this drawing, but what's the full size of the room? Because she's not taking the whole room.
no, she's only taking about half of it. I'd say it might be 20. Yeah, she's basically cutting that middle office in half. Or I call it an office, it's not
There's a
really.
lot of color there now. If there's a pillar or
There is a pillar.
Yeah,
So there's a column, that's what she's gonna use as her base, the basis of where the walls will. So here's something that can't be moved, here's something that can't be moved.
I did a walkthrough with Scott the other day, so I got a pretty good idea of what, I think it worked, it's fine.
I don't have necessarily an issue with it.
I don't have a problem with it, it's out of her budget, so.
I don't think it's gonna adversely affect the architectural nature of the building. It's kind of a hidden room anyway, and she has the space to do it. I wish every office had the same amount of space that they can do that. Amen. So like, Commissioner Ramos, have you seen the drawings or have had time to look at this?
I have not seen the drawings. I have not seen the drawings. I think this is the first time I'm aware of this. As you pointed out, if it does not affect the architecture of the building, if it is not cost prohibitive at this point, and especially since after, a couple of years, 3 years, whatever it is, we may be moving things around in the courthouse. So we don't want to do anything that would stand in the way of that. Just as clarification, is this the middle room or is this the south room?
It's the middle room.
Would be the northeast corner of the middle room.
Yes, okay. And would you be adding a door between the other office, or is the door?
The door is
into
The door's going into her,
the new office?
the door's going into her new office, yes.
And you have an estimated cost?
Yes.
With $4,200 estimated cost for the construction, not including mechanical, electrical, or plumbing. And as far as the door is,
We got a door downstairs. They gotta build it, they gotta get the frame, but we actually got the door, a physical door that we're gonna use. So it's gonna match everything else.
as far as the fire standards, it's supposed to swing in or out.
Swing, yeah.
If that's the correct way for it to happen. And,
Another question there on the door. The door is going to go in the wall that you're going to construct. It's not going to go through the permanent wall into the north office.
Right, the wall we're building is what it's gonna go into.
Okay.
Don't come near me, Mr. Sweeney.
I will say that, I will move that we approve the request under the condition that it is paid for out of existing, recorder funds.
I'll take it.
I have a first and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
So you want to do her graduation? She doesn't have any.
That was the
She doesn't
assumption.
need perpetuation, but it doesn't need appropriate.
You told me to show you guys this, you got any questions?
That's fine, as long as you can use that legally, that's
She
fine. by us.
checked with the state and she
Yes,
said
you
that
can use it for.
Sound good? Okay, we will get back to miscellaneous items. Mr. Schneider, were you finished earlier? Was that your final item, or do you have additional?
I believe that is it. I reserve the right to change my mind.
Okay, we will look through some other items and then we'll come back to you. Commissioner, Hostetter, do you have any updates on regional sewer activities?
We are planning a meeting. I spoke with Mary the other day, still working on that, still having a hard time getting hold of the folks at Burnside. Excuse me, Ireland Conservancy District. She's working on the map. We are meeting with Huntingburg to discuss their plans as far as where they want their map plans going. And we do have an upcoming meeting.
The ongoing report. Anything else, reports for yourself? I don't know, I don't believe we, from the time of our last meeting until now, we did put in the application for the People with Disabilities Grant with SERS, so that is in process. We are awaiting notice of approval or denial or acceptance of our grant. So that'll be our next item that we are going to discuss. Or the next thing that we're waiting on, I apologize. The next thing that I've sent some information back and forth on, and I guess we won't have it, we may not have it finished or finalized today. It has to do with the resolution of the Board of Commissioners regarding decorum and administration, for effective administration of public meetings. So we had a policy in place. It's a one-page policy. I sent that along to everyone. Mr. Schneider has since put together a resolution, somewhat mirroring what another county has done. And Councilman Fleisner and I have gone back and forth with a couple changes. So I guess I'm just going to ask for any feedback on these. From Commissioner Hoster. No feedback. Commissioner Ramos, any feedback on the resolution?
Yes, I read through it, looked through your suggested changes, and I understand what your suggestions were, but on the first one where in the resolution, it calls for a sign-up sheet.
Yes.
And when we go along, according to that sign-up sheet, you recommended that we do not use that, but we just do the way we've traditionally done it, where we call on people as they indicate that they would like to speak. 90%, maybe 99% of the time, I think that would be okay. I wonder if we shouldn't somehow keep the sign-up sheet language as an option. In other words, giving it, having it in place, but then allowing at the discretion of the chair or president to simply call on whoever wishes to speak, if they so desire. So I was just wondering if we couldn't have some combination or shouldn't have some combination of the two in the language.
I think we probably could do that, under I think it's resolution, subpart E, it could say, that language. I guess what I would recommend is that if you just send an email reply to Mr. Schneider and myself, Mr. Fleisner, with suggested language, we can look at it, and I don't think that we have anything saying that we have to pass this resolution today.
I know when it's ready to be passed.
We don't have it in the finalized form anyway. But I think if we do that, then maybe at our first meeting in February, we can, pass a resolution we can all be satisfied with. Does that sound satisfactory?
Okay. Yes, it does. And my only concern is that, as I said, 99% of the time we would be okay, but if we have some public issue that we have dozens or even more people that would like to speak, it might be advantageous to have a sign-up schedule.
To add to Commissioner Brough's point, in my research and review of some of the public access counselors' opinions, those sign-up sheets can be a benefit again if there's going to be an issue. We talked about at length in my numerous folks. That allows you to budget the time appropriately for the time you have allotted. Not 30 people can't speak during a 30-minute period if that's what you're looking at. It gives you a chance to gauge what you'll be able to do and make that assessment at the time. And you're probably also 100% correct that 99% of the time that won't be an issue.
There are only two reasons I didn't want to have the sign-up sheet. One, if you have a sign-up sheet, then someone has to manage it. Someone has to maintain it as a public record. I would assume that would have fallen in the auditor's office, so I didn't want to give them another thing. And the other thing is if someone did want to come speak to the board anonymously, I wanted them to feel like they had the right to do that. And it's up to the discretion of the presiding officer to allow or disallow any comments at any time. As people are not given there is no right to speak at a public meeting. So I think we still have that leeway that the presiding officer or the board of commissioners could stop comments if they ran too long or felt that in the best needs of the meeting. So I just want to share my thinking on it, which was a couple of those reasons.
Sure.
But if we have it in as an optional thing that we can, if we have a large meeting coming up where we think we'll have a lot of participation, then I think that having that language in there as an option is fine. Okay, so let's please, everybody that wants to have any feedback on that, please provide it, and we will discuss back and forth and hopefully have a resolution in order at our next meeting, first meeting in February. Okay, it's 10:45. I think we have our next agenda item up. Angela Leinbach-Vogler, if you want to come up and say.
I don't feel good, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Do you want me to say? Oh, you want me to say?
Oh, yeah, you're welcome to say anything you like. The floor is yours.
Thanks. My first concern was very little, and I see Mr. Bell doesn't wear masks, so I bought him some masks that are cloth because in his defense, those paper ones are really hard to breathe out of. But my truck's broke down, and I think they're in there. I'll bring them in. Just because I worked at the ER, those blue masks. My primary concern right now is I live at the Vine Street Loft. And I have a condition that my friend, the doctor, has called in a cardiologist and stuff called hereditary angioedema. My father died of it. We didn't know. It's still coming about. I'm having a hard time. I think that's Sean. Is that Sean?
No.
I don't know. I talked to the health department. I've addressed, tried to address HR at Vine Street. I'm trying to get my stuff out, but I'm allergic. I moved to the River Center. I love it there. Wednesday morning, approximately 5:50 a.m. I go to the parking lot and my lips are very swollen in hives. I have been at the Vine Street getting stuff out and I have allergic reactions. It takes me about a week to get over, but I have to get my stuff out. And I yelled this lady who wears a badge and pants to help me and she ignored me. I then went to the tunnel, which is lit, and I told her to her face I needed help. She wears a badge and a uniform. At this point, I had no clue where she worked, which department. I just know that she's security, supposedly security for the River Center. And she had a badge on and a uniform, and she walked around the corner.
And she said, that sucks. And she left. I called my friend, but he's out of town, to maybe call my son, because my son's at IUP while I law school. Nobody answered, so I pulled it out, and thank God, Lance, he works for Patoka Water. He had headphones on, so he couldn't hear, and I was running towards him, it was dark, and he offered to take me, but I said, you have to go to work, so he sent me a smiley face, and he said, you text me when you get to the ER, Angela, and if you don't text me, I'm coming to look for you. And that's what our text entailed. And I prayed about this for about 10 days, but I wanted to go tell Amy. Her name's Amy, and she lives above me. I hear her screaming at her kids, so they put me under her because of my health condition. When I knocked on her door and I stood at the carpet and I told her, because mind you, sometimes my voice is loud because I'm pushing 30 pounds of fluid out of my collapsed lung and now my heart's enlarged. I have the documentation that was shown if you need it. And she said, I will rebuke all charges and I don't care who you know. And she slammed the door. And so I'd never been on third floor except when I accidentally went up there one time. And then this time she called the cops. I knew the cops were coming because someone from the gym posted. I could hear them. In the cops' defense, they have to come, but Goffman came and he was not polite. You listen, but they didn't hear the side of the story that happened on Wednesday. And then I was inviting her to this meeting so she would hear how important it is to know de-escalation, not escalating. You know, crisis intervention. And Goffman just kept, and so finally Bauer, and he listened. I don't feel good. I definitely have these health conditions. It's not ADA acceptable. And just, if you talk in a soft voice, Mr. Kleinhelder is a very good example. I can communicate with that man anytime because he will listen. And I know if I get Mr. Kleinhelder, he'll also call me back. And he'll do that for any of you people. No doubt, because he really doesn't know me that well, other than, you know, everyone knows everybody in Jasper and their name. So I figured out by Officer Bauer, Adam, that she did not work for Tom. That's what I thought she worked for. That she works as a corrections lady. But she wore a badge. So I tried to contact the apartment place, and they're pretty defensive because they have an image to uphold. However, she's the one that called the cops. So I went down trying to discuss, and they're telling me she did a great job, they did a great job, but they won't let me see the video. It's on camera. She does a great job for us. And I said, I don't see her working, and it's not my business. However, I needed an emergent care, and you may need emergent care. And they got all defensive. Matter of fact, they called the cops. 4 of them came right now, but that nobody could come and help me last Wednesday. But because of their status, they get 4 of them. And I went and talked to the cop. He said, you can go ahead. But this has to stop. I'm not harming anybody. I definitely have a health condition, and I apologize up front. It's not COVID. I was misdiagnosed with COVID. It is hereditary angioedema, and people die in their 40s because of it. I'm allergic to something that the 9th Street gloss. I have addressed all the management since June. Nothing gets done. And I'm sorry, I lived in a very clean home. We always used organic because my ex-husband is allergic to formaldehyde, which is in everything. I babysat for the finest people in this town. I was not a babysitter, a child care provider. They didn't hire me because I was this person that people are making. And I've always loved my community. Anybody sees my posts, and I'm posting stuff because that's the only way you can get heard. From June until June, nobody heard anything from me because I went and prayed that my husband was coming back. And I laid on a couch and a mattress. That's all I had. No TV, no food, nothing. But I was allergic to something, and I was dying. I was fainting in that apartment building. Landing in blood. Tenants were finding me in my car where I'd make it to the car. This is all factual. I have my healthcare binder right there. If anybody wants to see it. I'm happy to disclose it because my family needs to know, because I have a son with allergy issues. My dad did not die of a car accident. He died before because nobody knew. It's hard. It's very rare. And it's not to make you guys feel sorry for me, but that baby I don't know what you guys in, I don't know what she's trained in, but I just think people with a badge and a uniform are held to a higher level. And, I asked her for help, and she said, that sucks. And she walked off and left me.
Is that one a county employee or something?
She works at, I guess, I found, Adam said she works at the community corrections. I left Megan Durloff an email, but, and Darlene listened to me last night. She was very nice. She apologized on behalf of the whole city, where Darlene is. And, she said Megan was out because of Martin Luther King Day. Dana is my relation, so that's a conflict of interest. And, I apologize to Tom. I thought she was contemplating, because I don't know, they just wear a badge and a uniform. And I really don't know Amy, she has like a lot of last names. Amy Wyland, something. I didn't even know her last name or what she drove until Sunday. I just knew she was Amy Security at the River Center and that she worked somewhere in this city or county. And I thought she would have had de-escalation or crisis intervention, or know that you're supposed to help someone if they yell that if they're in an emergent situation. I was. And my ER report will show the time I was at the ER.
Okay, so regarding that,
I just don't know if there's anything we can do, but I think that that's unacceptable, personally. And I've told everybody I need to tell, and it's up to you guys. It's not even to get her in trouble, it's to educate her. So if someone else calls for help, you work right there. It could be one of your employees, that they get help. Because we trust her in the uniform and badge, and she definitely had a uniform and badge on. I'm too sick to look where it said. And I'm sorry if they called the Heartland cardiologist and an allergist in, and we're gonna get to the bottom of this. So, I have a great friend that's a doctor in this town, and she's called in the greatest. We're gonna take care of this. And I apologize that I took loud because I'm pushing every word out with so much fluid, and I appreciate all of you guys. I know I haven't been myself, and I'm sorry. That's all I gotta say.
okay, thank you for coming.
Yeah, man, the person I really want to thank is Tom. He has listened to me through my whole divorce, any concerns, and if my ex-husband would have called him, I know he'd listen to him too. And he says, that's me. And we're really lucky to have him. He definitely has crisis intervention either built in or he's taken the finest training. And I mean that.
Thank you, Angela.
Thank you.
Auditor, do you have any business for today?
Can I go?
Yes, you're welcome. You're welcome to stay or go either way.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
You guys, I didn't know we had these meetings. Right, this is my own fault. I didn't pay attention. That's my fault. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
You guys have a good day.
You wanted me to,
Oh, yes, okay.
Greg reviewed it, they made the changes, I have a good copy.
Okay, so I think what the auditor is holding up here is a telecom care agreement. This is something I think we signed up for the first time last year, if memory serves. And we had spent a large investment on telecommunication items, telephones, new handsets, wiring, a bunch of different things were changed. And the idea was to pay for a maintenance agreement on that investment. So a new telecom care agreement was provided to Sandy, I think she forwarded on to the commissioners and to the county attorney. And the current one expires March 31st. And so I asked her to bring it up today so we could discuss it. So here are my concerns. First off, the price last year was $9,609. This year it's $13,890. So it's gone up 40% in a year. And
When he called me, he told me that last year it should have been, it was only 8%, it should have been 10% of what the cost of the sheet of the stuff was, so they were low last year. That's one of the things he told me. And then he said the telcare prices for stuff go up as well, so that's the second reason he said one. I told him he's killing me.
And I guess here, the concern or question I have is the tech support we are paying, and Sandy, you may know this answer, or maybe we need to ask, is the tech support we're paying for as part of this telecom, are we getting double counted as part of our regular maintenance agreement? What I mean by that is, if a deputy clerk calls Matrix about a phone problem, or does it through the ticketing system, does that ticket get written up as
They're separated.
telecom, or does it get written
No,
up
they're
as?
separated. If it's a telephone issue, it gets pushed to the telephone people. If it's not, then it gets put, I mean, if it's towards our other agreement, it gets put that way. They're separated.
So you don't think that any of those numbers?
Because one of the bills I received about a month ago was for the telephone, and I questioned it, and they said, oh, that should have been, and they took it off, because they knew it was under this agreement.
All right, so I guess from your best of what you know, it's not being double dipped, or we're not getting counted in two spots. And have we taken advantage or needed the cord or handset replacement? Has that been an issue with any of them? I mean, it says that that's one of the benefits of the telecom replacement is to me.
Not to my knowledge.
And what is, I don't know, what does the board think? What we're supposed to be getting is 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, support for your system whenever the need arises during normal business hours, and some remote support, on-site support. I guess they're supposed to give all of those. Do we feel, I don't know, I just want to bring it up for discussion. Anybody have any thoughts on it?
Anytime we have an employee change, they have to reset the phones. Anytime the health department wants their ingoing, outgoing messages with COVID, that's under this agreement. That's just a couple of examples. That's what this does.
You know, think it would be cheaper doing it on a case-by-case basis?
Well, if the system goes down or quits, I mean, I don't know. I don't know that answer.
It seems expensive, and it seems like the way a lot of those contracts are set up is we'll cover these certain things. If anything bad happens, you gotta pay for that too. So it's not an insurance policy, it's the maintenance policy, and that's what it's supposed to be. So, what are your thoughts?
It does sound expensive.
I mean, I can get him on the phone if you want to.
Over $1,000 a month. But, I mean, this is an area of expertise of mine, so I really don't know. Gotta trust what the other people are telling me.
And the thing is, that this was what, $140,000 system that we put in, is that about where it was?
We put the system in and we had 1 year, and then we put the telecom in last year, so this will be the third. Not counting the highway, they're a year behind.
Typically in my business, which, I mean, my business compared to the county is small change, but I don't like any warranty, so I don't do maintenance agreements. I take them as they call, and sometimes win and sometimes lose. That's just my typical opinion on maintenance agreements.
Commissioner Brown?
Yeah, I don't know if I know enough about it to even comment intelligently on it. Generally like the idea of a maintenance agreement, and would rely on a recommendation from the various offices, the auditor's office, and others who are involved in it, to make a recommendation as to how we manage this, but we have to have the ability to call them and get the service that we need when we need it. So whichever way works the best for that, I don't know.
Well, I would ask both of the commissioners if you'll review, I think, Sandy, send it to everybody. I don't remember, I like all that. Okay.
What I can do is, for the next meeting, I can put on the agenda and have Ron or somebody provide more information. Because it's not due till the end of April. I mean, to the end of March, so we've got time. He just wanted to get it in our hands early.
Sounds good. I think that's a fine way to go forward. Okay, what else do you have? Okay. I guess I want to ask a question, and this came from a department. What is the county has a credit card what are the rules and policies with somebody using the county's credit card? Okay, I don't know what that is. Okay, can maybe you pull it out? We'll discuss that at the next meeting for 10 minutes. Does that sound good? Because I don't know what it is, and I know that when
I think, and this is just I wasn't all the way involved in it, I think Kathy was, but I think we had found that we had some credit cards in the county that weren't being monitored.
Right.
And so they took those away and then they put a policy in place so that there's one place that we know and it's not just anybody out there just putting county credit cards. So I'll have to pull it up, but I think
that was during our first term, 2017. I think that was here because there were a few that we were like,
you're
they
unaware
got
of.
pulled back and it was fine.
And the state board of accounts, they want accountability and they want internal controls on those. So what we have now, they call me, I get it to them, they have to write a claim and we get it right back. Because if they don't, then they're outstanding and charging. I think the policy says you have to charge at least $50. So I don't know what.
I mean, if we did have a policy right at that time, I don't recall what it is, so if you could bring it, that'd be great. Okay. We'll discuss that at the next meeting for about 10 minutes and we'll see what that is, just to get refreshed on it. Because it is, I don't remember, usually Brent takes care of it when we go to road school, and I think Elmer's taking care of it whenever I've gone to another thing with him, so I haven't personally done it. I know sometimes trying to get a physical check and getting your tax waiver and some of that stuff is.
Well, the problem we're gonna have with people putting hotel rooms and stuff on it, they're gonna charge them and it's gonna be 6 months from now. And then say they don't go and they don't cancel, and then I gotta deal with, that's why I think they got rid of that. I think they said, come get a county check with the tax exempt and then you take that along. Say you don't go, we can void that, it's not an issue. And it doesn't tie up our credit on our credit card.
And by using a physical check, they can't take any more than that without.
Correct, they don't have it, and can't put it in a gas car, can't put it, you've got some.
I'm not saying that there would be wrongdoing on the part of the employee, I'm saying the hotel could add.
Well, either way, you don't have any internal control.
Okay, so I think it's something worth reviewing again. Make sure we're in a good spot.
There's nothing that says a county employee can't put it on their own credit card and then take our check and pay it.
Right. Well, I've done that before, I know one time.
I was going to add that, Sandy, I was going to add that comment that, many times I have done that, simply put it on my own credit card, bring the receipt in, and the county issues me a check. And I realize not everybody wants to do that, wants to manage that cash flow on their own accounts, but that works well.
Well, even at that, you can put it on your card to hold the room and then take our county check with you.
That's what we do. We're on road school rooms and Mr. Conference rooms and all my credit card.
You hold it on your card and then take our check to pay it. Because usually the hotel wants our check, they won't give you tax exempt
Right.
on personal stuff.
Yeah, I
They
cannot
want
give my
our
card,
check.
I cannot give my card to our tax exempt form.
But I don't think we want to have all these credit cards out there that people can just use. That's no control.
I don't have any other issues. We'll open it to Commissioner Bromwich.
Really don't have much. I've been involved a little bit with the state organization and the legislative things that are going on and what we're lobbying for and against and that sort of thing. Two bills come to mind. I think we talked of one last time a little bit. I know that Sean brought it up and there's been some discussion on email about the accountability of the health department, not just the board, but also the health officer and that sort of thing. The general consensus with the people that I've been talking to at the state level, commissioners at the state level, is they would prefer the ability to replace the members of the board rather than to second guess the decisions that are made by the board. If they have somebody on the board that is just off the wall and not doing the job or not representing the board correctly, they would prefer to simply have the permission to replace that board member. But that's ongoing. That discussion is ongoing. Another one that really doesn't affect us, it's creating a lot of discussion, is a bill that is designed to limit the county zoning in relation to wind and solar. So a county can put the restrictions on the ability of a company to come in and do wind and solar as long as they're not they don't exceed what the state level is. So there's been a lot of discussion there that, well, that basically comes down to state zoning then, and we're not for that. That takes all decisions away from us. Like I said, at this point, I don't think that involves us a great deal, but it's just something that you may hear about. Beyond that, I really don't have anything. On a personal level, I hope to be back to in-person meetings at the beginning of March. I have my first vaccination set up for this afternoon. And so do the math and go out on that. By the beginning of March, I hope to achieve a level of protection that will enable me to come back to meetings in person.
Okay, thank you. Are you getting your shot in Jasper, or did you have to go somewhere else?
I'm going somewhere else. When this all came about last Wednesday when they opened it up to 70-year-olds, and all those 70-year-olds in the state were on the line and trying to get us an appointment. And it was kind of funny. All my 70-year-old friends were going here, where are you going? And all that kind of stuff back and forth. So we are going out of the county. There was nothing available in the county at the time. Now, since then, as Sean indicated earlier, that they have some additional spots that have opened up. But we had this, and I said, leave those additional spots for somebody else to use. We'll just keep what we have. So no, I'm going somewhere else.
Leave those new spots for old people. Right?
There you go. There you go.
Sounds good. Thank you, Commissioner. I guess I have one final thing, and I'll bring it up briefly. Scott Hope and I met with a person named Matthew Stetchley, who is the president of Core Facilities Incorporated. They are a company that will come down and do, they will document a service schedule for maintenance. They provide this for jails and for other facilities if we are interested in having them do that. I asked him to send some pricing and some samples, and if he does that he's given me a couple hard copy samples. I provided one to the sheriff, and Scott Hope has the other one. But it's a document that asks your maintenance people to do a walkthrough on the roof, check these, and it gives them a checklist of things to do. And it's a little app that they can put into a program that he can give a report back to the board of commissioners saying, basically an ongoing condition assessment of the county facilities. And I guess if they did it at the sheriff's department, they could report back to the sheriff with what the condition of various things were, and it keeps a long-term record of what we've got there. So that was a better meeting than I expected. I thought it was going to be a situation where they wanted to pull our phone records and electric records, and they were going to give us, that sale again. So we don't like it that sale again. But anyway, that's going on. Otherwise, I think I'm finished. Is there any comments or anything from anybody out here? No, seeing none, we will adjourn.
Thank you. Have a good day. Sandy, will you have the paperwork that I need to sign on my desk?
I will. be later on, but I'll have